you find a partner, whatever, someone, and you each like exchange papers. I think it was like you did an assignment and then you would give it to someone else, and yeah, they were supposed to provide constructive criticism of your paper and like you're right on it suggestions. So I had that. Some students are not so well equipped for that, really. But, I mean, because some students here really can't really write that well on their own because sometimes it's English as their second language or something else. But so expecting them to critique someone else's paper is a bit much. But it's interesting, I guess.
I think the biggest issue for my English 110 is just it's not tracked in any way. So like we'll have to write a paper, and before we hand it in, we'll have a peer review, and we're graded on it. So like you have to do it. But which has happened to me every time, I get matched up with somebody who doesn't really know English so well, and so like I'm sitting there and I'm like pouring over this paper, like correcting everything because it's not written correctly, and then they can't add anything to my paper because they're not anywhere near my, we're not on the same level. Mm-hmm. So it becomes an issue. I mean, like, I guess the teacher has to dumb it down to the lowest common denominator, but for me, that stinks. So it's very frustrating.
I mean, we would get all the peer review assignments, we would do it once or twice, and then we would hand in the final assignment, and he would give us a grade, but he wouldn't give so many comments because he says, look at your peer review and get your comments from there. Which, yes, so we're getting a grade, but we're not learning how to write. It was kind of like using a spell check, but having someone else in your class do it.
Yeah.
But if they don't know English so well, it's really not.
It makes
helpful.
it worse. I mean, I understand the merit in it, but when you're in a college class learning how to write, you want to be critiqued by the professor, not by someone who might know less than you.
Whenever like the professor just gives you something back, like I said, like you don't really look at it, but whenever our professor made us peer review it, like you'd have to go and like help other people, and like I guess like you're not getting information just from the professor, and you're not seeing just his point of view, you're seeing other people's point of view also, like something that the professor didn't like, maybe they liked, and like you could see like, oh yeah, like that was a good idea, or and then you can also see like how other people approach like the same problem. Like I got to see other students like responses to the same situation that I was in.
I remember reading one of my friend's essays, and it was really, really wonderful. It was great. And I saw how he was writing. Like I saw the sort of methods he was using, how he spoke throughout the whole, throughout the whole essay. And it taught me. I was like, so you can write that way too. I mean, I hadn't really seen his sort of writing before. That's why I was so blown away by it. But it helps you with your own writing if you if you get to. I mean, if you try to maybe write, not exactly write like them, but you could maybe like take away bits and pieces and whatnot.
It's always interesting when you see what your peers think, and then like the big professor comes and you kind of, if they override what they say, then this is all negated.
I feel like the professor actually goes along with it. Like they don't, it's not
Mm-hmm.
very strict like, oh, like you shouldn't do that or something. Like they'll take in other people's ideas into account, and I think that's really good.
Whatever idea she may have had for the essay, she made sure to look at the peer review and see what they told us to do, and look at our revision and see how we, if we incorporated that into our actual essay. And I think, that's just what she wants.
It is amazing because like when you start sharing these ideas, and they say, well, maybe if you tweak this, maybe it may sound a lot clearer. And then, and if the professor kind of, because professors always have like that final say, but if they let that go and they let the idea sink in, and it's like your paper turns out to be, I feel like, becomes more free. But when you get help from your peers, kind of like, unfortunately, because the professor is the one grading you, they have that domineering kind of, shadow about them. But yeah, I guess, that's like friends helping friends out, and I think that's awesome.